goes forward, so you better not get in.
Did you subscribe to it?
I'm pretty sure.
Look right there, it's live,
How did
right?
you do that? This is commercial. I know, man.
All right, I'll show you. What is it? So you go to, you on YouTube?
Yeah. Right there in the middle of the bottom.
All right, we're gonna call this meeting to order, calling the city council workshop meeting Monday, June 12th at 6 p.m. Dana, can you do roll call, please?
Councilmember Franco?
Here.
Councilmember Cook?
Here.
Councilmember Fairley?
Here.
Councilmember Osborne?
Here.
Councilmember Thomas?
Here.
We have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda for the work session.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those opposed? All those for? Keeping it agenda.
Aye.
There's no presentations today, so discussion, our first discussion item, discussion 5A is, I'll spell this out, spell it out, SCRTS projects, traffic mitigation.
Okay, so unfortunately you're stuck with me tonight during the workshop. I asked for both these topics to be on the agenda. So the first one is that everybody knows we broke ground on the transfer station. If you've driven down West Valley Highway recently, you'll also notice there's construction going on. So with that, you learn a lot of cool topics. And that is fish window. And so we have to, during the fish window, reroute, part of the project is rerouting a stream to under West Valley Highway. So they're gonna have to close West Valley Highway for a short time, about 2 weeks. Everybody knows when West Valley closes, they're gonna come through town. So city code allows me, the police chief, to institute temporary traffic alterations in the interest of public safety. What I was thinking about doing in order to prevent a lot of people running down Algona Boulevard at high rates of speed is I was thinking about putting some temporary, when I mean temporary up to 6 months, I can do it up to 6 months without coming back and changing code, 4-way stops along Algona Boulevard. But I wanted this body's feedback before I do that. The two spots that come to mind for me are 8th Avenue and Algona Boulevard, and 3rd Avenue and Algona Boulevard North, and then 3rd Avenue and Algona Boulevard South. So those are the 3 spots along Algona Boulevard to deter people using Algona Boulevard as a thoroughfare when West Valley Highway is closed. Now, in all fairness to the county, they have a traffic mitigation plan. That traffic mitigation plan will route them onto 167 or further east down C Street and around the whole project. That being said, we all know we've either worked or lived in this community a very long time. We know that's not going to happen. They're going to come down Algona Boulevard. So before I arbitrarily decide to do this, I would like to know your wishes on what you would like to see for temporary traffic mitigation issues dealing with the closure of West Valley during the fish week. So I'm open to suggestions. You heard mine, I'm open to it.
Well, I like your 4-way stops. However, those still have to be built per UTC standards, which means they have stop bars, they have all of those.
Yep. So we, and I don't want to steal your thunder because I know you're going to bring it up to council, but we realized that we own a brand new paint striping machine that has not been utilized. So Russ is training his entire crew on how to utilize this striping machine. And so I know heat seals are a great thing, but you know what? Somebody made an investment a long time ago and bought this city a striping machine. And you know what? We need to be utilizing it. So yes, we recognize they have to be up to standard, and yes, we have the capabilities in-house to do that. And that is our plan. However, if you want something else, feel free to get a hold of me. I wanted to have this discussion on the record so that it's not a surprise to people in YouTube world now instead of Facebook world. But in so you know that hey, we're going to take steps to calm the traffic because we know they're not going to follow 167. We know they're not going to want to go east. They're going to take the path of least resistance. And I think Algona Boulevard's been one of those that's probably needed to be slowed down for a very long time.
Are there any concerns about celery? Because, you know, first couple of days, people are gonna hit those four ways, and then they're gonna see celery, and they're gonna go, well, what about this street? Take off down that one.
That's a very valid
I know
concern.
there's a couple four-way stops, but that's a lot smaller road.
Right. The good thing about having a fully staffed police department is I plan on when we implement these things that we're going to pay some traffic overtime. I've even engaged the Traffic Safety Commission about getting them to fund it. But we're definitely going to do some overtime, do some education, get some extra officers out there. And you're right. Eventually somebody's going to think, well, I'll just turn down this street. And then I think there will be no education on celery. I think there will be nothing but enforcement on celery, if you catch my drift. I think once the word gets out that zero tolerance there, you know, again, the whole, and I'm not hiding this, the whole intent is to deter people from utilizing our thoroughfares as a bypass because West Valley's closed. Yes, ma'am.
We need a lot of education in the city on what a stop sign means. The one, I go down Main Street and get on Algona Boulevard many times. I don't know how many people I've seen never even hit the brakes, don't signal, nothing. They just go right into traffic and never pay any attention to that sign. And the same on what street we were just talking about? Celery and the east and west street. Unless there's a car right there, they don't make any attempt to stop. Those are two bad places. I don't know about others, but I see that. Also see a lot of it down here on First Avenue and Main Street. They don't know what the brakes are or what the stop sign means.
So I can tell you that one officer on the 18th, he averages about 7 tickets a shift. I would say 6 of those are at that intersection.
Those are the places he hits.
So
Sometimes I've been behind somebody that never even looks, stops, and get just right on it, on First Avenue.
So I like the idea of those four-way stops. You know, after a certain amount of time, you might feel that one or two of those may be curing some other issues that are happening out on those. And now we put in for something to make it more permanent.
right. So for me, Councilmember Thomas and I, that is awesome insight. It also gives me an opportunity to collect some data that, as you guys know, we had some traffic expert tell us the data doesn't support. Well, how do you know until you test it, right? So this gives us an opportunity to test that and collect some data. And I think it will justify some of those things that everyone on this dais at the time was like, you know, it was clear. And if he's watching, I apologize to that traffic engineer, but he came across to me as tone down. And so if we had some data to support, hey, I'm not pulling any punches. So that's the way it came across to me. And I think it's important that our community know we're trying to think about, you know, ways to slow people down other than writing a bunch of tickets. I know that's a last resort, but second, I'm a walker, the mayor's a walker, I know a lot of you walk down Algona Boulevard, it feels like you're walking next to 167, and it's uncalled for, so we need to do something about it, we need some traffic calming, and I think this is the right approach, but again, I work for you, I work for everybody in Algona, so I'm open to feedback.
Forgive me, I've read it somewhere, I think it was your letter, when this time frame was gonna happen. Do you know when this time frame?
So the fish window starts now, and
It's in August, I think.
and it goes to August, and it's a 2.5 week period. They wanted, if they close the whole road down, it's about a week. I don't want to take business away from Jack's. I don't want to take business away from other businesses along West Valley Highway. So we asked them not to close entirely, just one lane at a time. So there are going to be some backups. We all know West Valley backs up now without that being closed. So I just
Do you know what the time frame is though?
they had Russ. Did they tell us when they plan on closing it yet?
No, not yet. They're still kind of struggling with the schedule on that part of it. They're not sure they're going to be able to meet the fish window this year, so they're still kind of talking about it. So.
Maybe we can preemptively do it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's my plan, to get it in place well in advance before they close it, so that everybody's kind of used to it, and then it's just not an option for people. My hope is they follow the county's traffic plan, use 167 and C Street, and they go, you know, Algona's not where we want to be. So,
This is a sidebar here, but might be something for another meeting, but, you know, UPR crossing down here, what did they do?
they replaced 2 concrete bunks on the east side of the westbound lane.
Yeah, hardly ever notice it. Usually it makes it nice and smooth, and it's still as deep as it has been.
Yeah, we were noticing that the other day. The mayor and I were making our rounds. It didn't look like they even did anything. So we have another issue we want to bring up with the railroad. So we'll add that to our list. I think being prudent, maybe we do try to set up a quarterly check-in as staff with the railroad, just kind of like a Zoom call, or hey, is there some point of contact, like a government relations person, that we can just sit down and air our grievances. But yeah, it doesn't seem like they fixed much. You're absolutely correct.
Chief, back to the discussion, what were the 2 intersections that you were thinking of putting the stops?
So on the north end, First Avenue, 8th Avenue North, 4-way stop, and 3rd Avenue North and Algona Boulevard, 4-way stop. And then on the south end, 3rd Avenue South and Algona Boulevard. But that does give people an option to turn on First, because you already have a 4-way stop there. So, I mean, it'd be stop and go all the way down Algona Boulevard. I was playing around with it in my car, just stop, stop, stop. So,
Somebody pull you over.
no, thank God. So,
I like it, I think that's a great idea, Chief. I think it's easy, wouldn't cost a lot of money, and be very effective. And might even continue, like you said. All for slowing those cars down on that road.
Yeah, maybe safer to walk.
Sounds like we're all in agreement on that.
sounds good. So what I'll do is I'll start working with Russ. We'll start getting a plan together when we're going to phase it in. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of social media blasts, newsletter, letting everybody know there's going to be some traffic changes. I'll type up a memo or a letter to the community. We'll make sure we get the information out there.
Just might wanna orchestrate that with the actual closure though.
Mhm.
Like you said, you'll have to come back in 6 months.
We should have
This
more
year, they don't have
information,
until next
yeah.
year.
Yeah, we have a meeting coming up with the project manager.
Right.
And this is definitely one of the things that we've been wanting to talk about.
Yeah.
Yep. No doubt.
So as part of this closure, I know they talked about taking the curb out of the road. Is
Mhm.
part of this
Yeah.
closure gonna do that too?
Yeah, they're actually removing the trees this week so that they can start that road straightening. But they've gotta move that, there's an underground stream,
Yeah. I know
they've
right
gotta
now.
redirect that, it's amazing, they got all the permits to redirect that stream, it's, yeah. So, but, anyway, they've gotta straighten out 167, that's, once they get the stream redirected, they get the culverts in, then that's when the straightening West Valley Highway happens.
Good, I was hoping that, you know, I've worked with King County before, and it would be them to do the culvert under the road, and then 3 weeks later decide to close the road again, just do the straightening part.
Now, we were pretty, in the pre-con meeting and, the permitting, during the permitting process, staff was pretty clear, we're not gonna impact business like that, right? We're gonna make sure that those businesses still have access. In fact, part of their traffic plan is, they got those signs this way to Jack's.
So I do know that there's no, where they can construct that lane outside of the main, just areas that tie in.
Yeah.
Like your traffic with.
On the old part.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah, I have no more.
Any other questions on that discussion item? Moving on to 5B, Code Enforcement Board.
Okay, so as this black council approves a couple council meetings ago, we now have a permit tech / code enforcement position. I'm happy to announce that we have an internal candidate that is going to take the position, barring anything that doesn't happen in his last interview with the mayor. That being said, I tried to look at ways of, you know, because a lot of times code enforcement comes into exactly that, enforcement. And so that's going to require somebody being able to cite somebody in court. So how can we empower this new staff person to be able to do their job without, hey, I need a cop to go write a ticket to this person? But make that the absolute last resort. So I started doing some research, and those of you that have their computer, I emailed it to you. But there's a couple of cities in the area that have the same position, code enforcement permit tech. They also, who the first line of adjudication is for code enforcement issues is what they call a code enforcement board. And you have a sample of Edgewood's code in front of you. And essentially, there would be a 3-person panel appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the council. They would be, so this new, and this, the code enforcement permit tech would be the staff person assigned to this board. They would bring code enforcement issues in front of this board. This board is made up of people that live in this community. So I'm trying to, instead of making this police-based and enforcement-based, community-led and community-based. So, not that I'm trying to pass a buck or anything, I just think we've never tried this approach, and we've always struggled with code enforcement. And we've struggled with compliance, we've struggled with people paying their fines, we've struggled with the court system, Anyway, I wanna try being community-led. So what I have in front of you, and for discussion tonight, is a sample of what I would like to try here. I have sent it to the city attorney already to get a basic analysis. We've not spoken, he's done some research. We've spoken on some more pressing issues, but not this one. But I thought at the same time, I would get in front of the council, see what your thoughts were. If it's something you're not interested in, that is totally fine. The police department will adjust. And the city will adjust. But I thought, hey, what a better approach, people from the community being able to have control over code enforcement and try something different. And so, thoughts, I'm open to thoughts, suggestions on this one as well.
I've got a lot of thoughts. This is voluntary, right? These are people that volunteer.
Yes, they would volunteer to be on.
Compensated.
No, nope.
I'm sorry, I just have a vision of like an HOA panel that's going through all the houses that are,
No, the person that would be in the field would be the code enforcement permit tech person, right? But there would be a panel up there of 3 people. They would present the case to them. Here's the code enforcement issue, right? And of course, we'd make sure the city attorney presents, that all the documents are within legal ramifications. The appeals process, if you notice in Edgewood, is to their hearing examiner, and then if they can appeal it again to district court. So it gives them an appeals process. So if they don't agree with this 3-person panel is, they can appeal it to the hearing examiner. If they don't agree with the hearing examiner says, they can appeal it to district court, right? So it gives them an appeal process. So that makes it constitutional in the state of Washington. Whatever process we set up, 1, has to be clear. 2, it has to have an appeal process. You can't be fined. So we've given them that appeal process, and it's all set up. So, I have not spoken to someone in Edgewood about how it's working out for them. What I do know is I've driven through Edgewood, so it's clean. Yeah, I've also driven through, Furcrest. They also use a similar system, very clean, very organized, right? And so I am going to do further research. That's why it's not coming to you at the council. But I wanted to put this out there, let you guys chew on it a little bit, think about it. And again, if you feel it's worth moving forward with, I'll do the legwork, and we'll put something in front of council.
Yeah, I like it. I think the position number 1 is gonna be great, because people know that they get away with it, right? So I think just having that awareness, and it's not a police officer, I think that's also helpful, right? I know that, Chief, you always try to solve things at a partnership, problem solving level. And I like the idea of a board too, because then you're talking to, again, it's not the police officer, it's not the mayor, it's your peers, right? And I think we, as a city, we're holding each other accountable, what's happening in our community with our neighbors.
So what got me going down this road, other than doing the research on the code enforcement permit tech? 2 Saturdays ago, a community member called the mayor at home because a property owner was coming in on the weekend with dump trucks, right? So that community member, right, he's worried about his neighborhood, right? And I'm like, well, there are people like that in every community in the city, right? They should have a say about what goes on in their neighborhoods, just like we all should. And if you haven't noticed, since I've been the acting city administrator, about transparency, and I'm about engagement. I want this community to run this community. You're representatives of the community, right? But the more people we get involved, the more enthusiasm we get, the more vibrant our downtown will get, the more business they'll want to come here, in my opinion. And I just think it creates a spark, it creates excitement. You can just get on social media and you can see, hey, can we bring back the old school Algona days? Can we do this? We want to do this. So you're starting to see, even today, people want to watch our council meetings. And so that engagement, that excitement, I just want to compound that and keep people going and getting involved.
I'm all in favor. And if you need any properties to start at.
Well, hopefully next council meeting, we're introducing the new code enforcement permit tech at the council. Not tonight, but the next one. Hopefully it's all done deal and we can introduce that person. You get to meet him and you'll have a point of contact.
Perfect. I'll put it on speed dial.
So it sounds like this is off the cuff, but it's something I started researching today, and it's because everybody knows we have an info line where you can, and this is not on the agenda, so you guys can shoot me in the foot later. But since I have a captive audience and I have about 5 more minutes of time, I thought I'm going to bring something. I'm going to plant another seed, and I want your feedback, whether it's worth my time or not. So every Monday, I get the info line emails, Dana and Julie send them to me. And they're increasingly, people are using that as an online reporting system for crimes, like a stolen vehicle was reported by that. Nobody saw it till today, it's 2 days old. There is software through Valleycom to allow online reporting for Algona, right? And I can control the criteria, it's not everything. It could be like, here's the 5 things that you absolutely can report. Otherwise, and if they try to report it, it would say, you have to call for that, we have to have an officer come out. Is that something this body would be interested in? I have personal feelings about this. I believe in customer service. I believe we're a small enough agency, we should show up at every crime. We should show, if you call, we should show up. We should call you, we should show up. So I have personal feelings about it. Don't let that cloud your judgment. I honestly think that if people are more and more going to use our info line to report crimes, then maybe we need a mechanism that actually goes straight. Because if they were to use the system at Valleycom, what it would do is the on-duty officer would get notified there's an online report that's made, right? And they'd be able to see it, and maybe they could take quicker action, right? So food for thought. I'm moving slow on it. I just started the research, and maybe I'll do a presentation on the system at a later workshop. But just planting the seed. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the code enforcement board? Moving on to number 6, audience participation. The city council encourages public participation during meetings of the city council and welcomes your comments. This time is set aside for you to speak to the city council on any issue. The council ordinarily takes non-agenda matters under advisement before taking action. You are also invited to comment on action items as they are considered during the meeting. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each in addressing the city council. When addressing the council, please speak clearly and audibly and state your name and address for the record. So, YouTube viewers, we have no.
So we currently have 7 people watching and no comments, nothing in the chat.
Alright, well, hi YouTube watchers. And we have no one in the room, so we're going to move on and adjourn at 6.